There is somewhat of a debate online that's been going on for the better part of a long time that whether or not anime has a defining definition, whether or not anime has some singular trait that you can point to and call it anime, or maybe it's more of a spiritual thing, a vibe it gives off that you know, or maybe it's technical, a special design working that makes it unique. While I may not be able to give a clear definition, I do believe there is something that makes anime anime. To better define, maybe we should look at an anime that doesn't follow any of the traditional traits. Red Garden is an anime from 2006 made by Studio Gonzo. Directed by Koi Matsuo, who directed the original Rosen Maiden and assistant director on Millennial Actress, and written by Tomohiro Yatashima, who also worked on the Count of Monte Cristo anime, but was co-written by Mario Kaida, who played a big role later on in the series. The story takes place in New York City on a fictional private school in Roosevelt Island. Fun fact, in real life there actually is a school on the island, although it's a first year. A student named Lisa is found dead, and 4 young girls from different cliques talked with Lisa just before she died. Claire the rebel, Kate the school council member, Rose the wallflower, and Rachel the party girl. Neither can remember the night before, but they're all drawn together one night by butterflies to mysterious individuals working for an organization called Amundus.
Let's talk about last night.
She says they're all dead and that on random nights they are summoned to fight zombie-like monsters by themselves, or else they'll die for real. Random people in New York are infected with a curse that turns them. It's all part of a 100-year-old conspiracy between 2 warring factions, and these girls are dragged into it. If they finish the job, they can return to their normal lives. What follows is a mix between Resident Evil, Noir, and The Breakfast Club. We switch perspectives on our leads to see the lives they live, and get together to overcome their differences, realizing that the real zombies were the friends we made along the way. There's also a B story about another classmate, Hervé. Kate later dates him, and his sister and cousin are infected with a curse, and they try to figure out how to stop it. It's not bad, but it's kind of forced. We'll get there later. For now, I want to showcase its uniqueness. Obviously, the art style is a standout. The character designer, Fuji Jun, didn't do much else, only a one-shot manga anthology. Back then, it was harder for original anime to stand out, so they wanted an art style that would grab attention. It's an argument against the stereotypical anime, especially at the time. When Digipaint animation was coming in the 2000s, a style called Mirukukuseki was popular. It meant stateless, to try to make everyone look the same so it can sell internationally. But even at the time, it was criticized. Oh Great thought it was an excuse for lazy character designs. Not to defend it, but it was kind of always there, just to make animation faster. Having everyone looks the same makes it easier for the animators to draw. So love or hate the art style, you have to give Gonzo the credit for going the extra mile. But while the art style is a standout, the animation itself is what I find interesting. I recommend you watch it in sub, not that the dub's bad, quite the opposite, again we'll get there. You might not notice it at first, but if you're used to watching anime in Japanese, you might notice that something sounds a bit different.
親が寝た後抜け出せばいいじゃない。
ああ、いいよそれ。
うちの親結構寝るの早いよ。で、一番盛り上がってる時に到着ってわけ。
最高だよそれ。
じゃ
It might be hard to tell, but there's a little more natural speaking, like something you would hear in a movie. To find out why, we need to go back to how anime got started.
初めの頃は手塚先生に食ってかかってこんな動いてないアニメなんて誰が見るんですこれアニメーションじゃないって言ったらいやいやぎっちゃんこれはアニメーションじゃなくてアニメですとかって言ってわけのわかんないこと言って
Osamu Tezuo is often called the founder of anime, the one who created the famous tropes that can be traced today. But back in the 1950s, anime wasn't called anime. It was called teibiri manga, literally TV manga, bringing his manga to life so that the money could bounce back from TV ratings and manga sales. The average 90-minute animated movie was roughly 60 million yen, but to make that same animation for television would be almost 30 million. But Tezuo settled for 500 to 600,000, with a much smaller staff and totally different design philosophy. Typically how animation is made is that you start with a script and a storyboard that helps lead what it looks like, then record the voice actors, then animate on top of the actors with in-betweens and colors and whatnot. But in Japan, they animate everything first, and then have the voice actors dub on top of it. This little detail actually affects a lot more than you think. For one thing, it allows the animator to work more closely with the storyboard, without having to worry about the audio. But that leads to another thing, and that is animators in Japan aren't as evenly distributed as in America, working on a little bit of everything at once. Hell, they're not even referred to as animators, rather Gingakuman. American animators think of themselves as performers, as actors. They take very seriously their job of interpreting the voice performances and giving the correct physical gestures. Also, usually for American feature films, an animator is cast for a particular character. For example, in Disney's Aladdin, one animator would work on the Aladdin character, another on Genie, and so on. In Japan, the animators each work on entire scenes. In Japan, they are more like illustrators. The term for animator is ginkaman, or original drawing person. The animator's role is to make a drawing, not to perform. But this comes out of working from drawings, not from a voice track. There actually are some OVAs in the 80s that were fully animated but didn't have any audio. The time and budget just ran out. All these animation techniques stem from how stories were told culturally. America's contribution to literature is the short story, because, we have short attention spans. But it's also because early literature was distributed through digest and magazines, even going back to comic books that would have single-issue stories. But it also came from stage performances. The vaudeville was a series of stage performances that focused on single, unrelated actors. While not American-made, it became so popular in the States that it was called the heart of American show business. It later spread to theaters and animation, animated shorts that focused on single characters, even comic books focused on single people. When films first started being shown in theaters, they were preceded by vaudeville acts, out of which grew Bugs Bunny shorts and so on. All of these forms were born out of personalities. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Popeye, they are much less about the story. The character of Mickey Mouse was the equivalent of Buster Keaton. That's the way they functioned in the entertainment world. From the very beginning in American animation, animators saw themselves as vaudeville performers. American animation was born from the theater, but anime started on the television. It's true that these shorts inspired a lot of Japanese animation, but it's what came before that influenced the most. Manga, for kame manga, that focused on less action-based movements and more on stills of the story. In Astro Boy, separate cells were used for the limbs, but the body stayed still. From an outsider's perspective, it all sounds cheap, but it's just another way of looking at animation. Even in comics, when drawing running, they would draw each individual person, but in manga it's more minimal, there's more suspension of disbelief. And yes, this is in part of time budgets, but it creates a new way of looking at drawings. One more quote, bear with me. To see animation as the pinnacle of achievement and limited animation in terms of its lack is to downplay the aesthetics of sliding planes of images, which is precisely where Thomas Lamar sees the distinctiveness of anime as a medium. If cinematism arises from a ballistic view of a monocular camera flying through space like a bullet, or as if one were watching out of the front of a train, for example, then animatism, according to Lamar, is to see the world from the side, looking out the window of a train, understanding scale and distance by observing how the trees and hills of the countryside slide by at different speeds. In other words, in the West, the actors lead the project, but in Japan, the animation itself is what leads the project. And it stems from culture. The lone American individualist personality versus the Japanese friendship is magic, let's work together and sing a song for Gamera so he can protect us from the universe.
It just dawned on me how weird this film is,
But Red Garden is sort of an exception to this. It was made with an actors first mindset. They recorded the audio first with actors only given storyboards as references. The actors said they were quite nervous because it was the first time they acted without a fully animated character. You might say something like Panty and Stocking is an outcast to anime, but it's still made with the animation first mindset. I think it's closer to anime than Red Garden is. It's sort of like a triangle: art style, culture, and design. Panty and Stocking doesn't have the art style, but it does have the design and culture. But Red Garden doesn't have the typical art style or the design, and technically has the culture. Around the time, Cool Japan was in full swing, so Gonzo wanted to pitch the show to an international audience. However, the director said they were still focusing on a Japanese audience at the end of the day, focusing more on tropes and genres than who's gonna watch it. The creators went to New York City and said they wanted Roosevelt Island to be the middle haven of safety as opposite to the city. Although I can kind of see some Japanese creep in, like how the graveyard is kind of Japanese style. The actor-first art style of animation shows itself in the scenes where they're arguing. It gets very layered.
私とルークの問題だよね。あんたに関係ある？から冗談だって。全然笑えない。だってレイチェルさ。
It has a kind of realism to it. It's like I'm watching Marriage Story. The rest of it does kind of move like a regular anime with utilizing stills, but there's still the occasional movement with the dialogue, but they still kind of save it for the action. I find it interesting that while something like Castlevania, while not an anime, tried to mimic that anime style stillness while animating the actors first, Red Garden kind of predates that. Sadly though, that's kind of where the uniqueness ends, as the rest of the anime is kind of all over the place. I've heard another difference between American and Japanese animation is that Japan has actual directors in charge of everything, while in the US it's just kind of designed by committee. Well, this kind of feels like the latter at times, because it just feels like there's 5 things going on at once. The best part of the show are the 4 main girls and adjusting to their new lives, but when we cut back to the conspiracy mumbo-jumbo, it's so out of left field. Nerve has a sister and cousin affected with the curse, and works with the opposition, Delore, to try to stop it with science. And I do like how they actually try to acknowledge the outside people getting infected, but when it doesn't work, they just beat the shit out of her. They said they wanted the show to be normal girls reacting to non-normal things, and their lives changing with it. The girls' lives are definitely the A-plot, and the conspiracy is the B-plot, but the A-plot is written so well that every time we cut back to someone else, it feels so juxtaposed. Yashihito was the main writer, but Maria Okaido was the co-writer, and I can tell when she was writing because it is miles better than anything else. It almost feels like a predecessor to something like Anoha, well, with the diverse characters. Rachel being the... You know, let me just say how happy it is for me to have names that I can pronounce. I mean, I'm not the smartest when it comes to foreign pronunciation. I butchered the French word for comic in my last video. Rachel, the party girl who lives with her single rich mom, but she has an identity crisis, not knowing if she really likes her friend or even herself. A guy she likes is dating her friend, but she still likes him and he likes her, a nice crisscross of drama. Claire Forrest, the rebel girl who skips classes with her boyfriend. She's poor, working 9 to 5, but has a rich dad who she doesn't want anything to do with. Unlike her brother who spins it all, oh my god, it's Vic Mignogna playing a white guy with cornrows. Kate Ashley, the... Yeah, I know. A member of Grace, the sort of student body council that's also part of the conspiracy. And later she dates Nerve, who's trying to use her to find a cure for the curse. But back at school, another member of Grace starts to, hey look, lesbians. And Rose Sheedy, the shy girl who's taking care of her 2 younger siblings while her mother is sick and her dad's out of the picture. We see the dad later on, and it's actually really sad, probably the most depressing story of the 4. These 4 girls really are the main characters. The best part is seeing them work through their struggles and overcoming it all when they fight zombies. Okaida's really a great writer. She knows how to write friends, just diverse characters who make it through together. Who would have thought a woman could write good women? But like I said, that's the best part, is the rest is seemingly all over the place. The creators said they had a beginning and ending plan, but they were just kind of working out the middle. Everything seems like it was just improvised. It's kind of hard feeling the drama when you have zombies that hop like dogs. Things just kind of come out of nowhere, like halfway through they get powers. Okay, they don't quite explain how that works, but yeah. Not to mention, oh! Right. Yeah, it's also a musical. Kind of forgot about that. I think the animators did too, because it only comes up like 6 times in the show. It's just there to kind of show off the lip syncing, but it's just so random. Same thing with the interrupting rap rock song at the end.
Look, the LMC. 1, 2, the anybody count.
It's so out of place, it just slams in. It was done by a visual Kai band called LMC, and the other one's just a pop-punk song. Again, it feels a little too energetic for what's going on. The rest of the music by Akira Shinju is pretty good. It's a lot of orchestra strings and pianos trying to go for a Broadway feel, as they occasionally get cameos in the show. And as for the English dub, it's pretty good. One of the last dubs ADV produced, and at times the acting gets pretty out there. Especially when there's yelling or arguing. It makes it feel just as grounded.
You just
I've
keep
been
on
in
doing the
contact with
same
the doctors
thing.
this entire
First
time.
Mom and now
Claire,
Randy?
please.
Something's never
There's
changed.
an excellent.
There's even vocal fry. I know I said the Japanese makes it interesting, but don't neglect the dub. Directed by everyone's favorite Steve Foster, yeah, famous for his Ghost Stories dub. He likes to add more than subtracting, but personally I think he got better as time went on. And this is definitely one of his better ones. I can tell his use of improv is sparing.
You can't copy me anymore.
What's that supposed to mean? I wouldn't copy you if you were a Xerox machine.
Oh, snap!
There are some hiccups. It has the same problem the show does. Main characters are good, but side characters can be kinda rough. Random NPCs can sound weirdly out there.
Late, leaving early, not showing up at all.
I've been driving this street since this morning, but I haven't seen a thing.
But at the same time, it's New York. I could believe there are weirdos like that on the street. Actually, how does the dub handle the singing?
Tell me quietly, and
Oh!
I'll come looking for you.
They just talk. That's so weird. Oh wait, no, sometimes they do sing. And sometimes they don't? What the hell is going on? And I'm sorry, but when they do sing, they just can't. Oh, and also Hervé is voiced by Joe Days, and he's pretty good, but halfway through in the show, he's replaced with Quentin Haig, Hilary Haig's brother.
Wait a second! What's that in your hand? Hey! What are you gonna do with that thing?
Why would you come here empty-handed? It's because you're all unnecessary. You're all worthless to me.
It's not a deal breaker, but it's not as enthusiastic. It's just adds to the quirkiness of the show. There's even an OVA spin-off that takes place in a cyberpunk future, and the girls are bubblegum crisis now, trying to take down a giant robot while getting their memories. What the fuck is going? But all this just kind of adds to the charm of the show. There are weird things that juxtapose it, but there are small things that stand out. Like, while the animation seems limited at first, the backgrounds are the best part. The digipaint works so well with the cool seasons it's going for. You can watch the seasons change from summer, fall to winter, even ending on Christmas. I highly recommend to watch this in the fall or winter time. I also love how dated this show is. They take advantage of the American high school setting, and the fashion gets so out there. I just love it. Red Garden has a lot of things going on, and while not everything fits together, it still kind of feels worth it. I'd still recommend it. There is some charm about having a million things going on at once. Even if it doesn't work out, the high points are still rememberable. A teen drama about overcoming differences despite the odds. By the end, I felt satisfied. And on top of that, it's an interesting discussion for what makes anime animation. A design philosophy that's not just art style. I mean, don't get me wrong, anime is still animation, but not all animation's anime. Thanks for watching till the end. If you haven't noticed by now, I took a lot from the book The Soul of Anime by Ian Condry. There's a lot of books about the history of anime, but this one's really good. It's written from the perspective of someone who wants to learn more about what anime is. There's an entire chapter about the making of Red Garden. He even makes a cameo in the show.
Nani?
I tried to get this out sooner for Christmas, but I didn't have an excuse. I just wasted time. I have a lot next semester, but I still have plans for more videos, so yeah, stay tuned.
So the guy that runs that restaurant, he's kind of strange. Yeah? There are these rules, and if someone breaks them, he yells, "I won't sell you soup for 1 year." He's kind of famous.
Really?
No soup for you! Come back 1 year!